Yes, guys, welcome back to Meathead Mentality, and we are here with Jack Thorburn. How's it going, Jack?
Not too bad, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on as well.
Yeah, it's I really appreciate Jack for coming on, because I think everyone will know Jack who's watching this because I'd say you're decently famous in the scene.
Hmm.
I would say you are.
I
What would you
think,
say?
yeah, relatively. I think the past maybe few years it's kind of dropped off a little bit. But definitely, this is probably way before your time. But in terms of like 2016, 2017, 2018, you know, because my following on social media hasn't grown too much since that period, really. But, I think I had quite a I don't want to say meteoric rise, but I did have a decent rise in about 2016, 2017 when I first competed. Because I know we'll probably get into this, but natural bodybuilding wasn't really a well-known sort of endeavor around that time. People did do it. Over in the UK, it wasn't really talked about. It was, if anything, it was a bit of like a laughing stock, really. Everyone that competed in it was quite nerdy, lacked muscle, and I kind of wanted to put, it sounds quite well, I wanted to put natural bodybuilding on the map for the UK. And there was a few others that did it as well, like AJ Morris, for example. Both him and myself were kind of coming up at the same time. And I wanted to make like natural bodybuilding like cool because
Yeah,
it wasn't cool at the time. Like a lot of people that did it weren't it's hard to explain, ultimately I'm 31. I can't say that I'm a cool person, but like,
it
but it wasn't seen as like, something cool to do. Like
wasn't
obviously
trendy.
it wasn't trendy at all. Like,
No.
and the best part of it for me now is, I don't want to say I was the only reason for it, and AJ was the only reason, but I do feel like we played quite a big part in it. I see young lads coming up now that have so much potential and are doing incredible things on stage already from a natural perspective. And that never would have been the case previously because a lot of these guys that have the incredible genetics or those that don't but just started in the gym, a lot of them would have gone down the enhanced route because it was a lot more popular, even though that it is still popular and it's made more popular with like the likes of certain social media names like Trend Twins, for example.
Yeah,
A lot of the influencers now are almost advocating you go down that route. But
yeah.
I think there's still a massive avenue for natural bodybuilding now, which there wasn't before. And I know a lot of that has just come through increased exposure through social media, etc. But I'd like to think that you know I certainly played a little part in that exposure early on.
Yeah, for sure. Before I go into like my first sort of segment of questions, I just want to get like the people to know like who are you? Like exactly who is Jack Thorburn? Like what do you do?
So without waffling too much, because there's quite a lot. But in terms of who I am a Welshman now living and residing in Newcastle, so a decent distance away from each other. I am a natural bodybuilder, been competing since 2016. So that's quite a while. I've had 3 seasons over the 9 years that I've been a competitive bodybuilder, but I've been training, since I was about 14. So believe it or not, I am 31.
You don't look
So,
31.
huh?
You don't look 31
No,
at
I
all.
know. I,
It's because you're natural.
yeah. Well, that's if you want
I
to
mean,
advocate for that, you can look young, but um,
yeah,
yeah. So I've on and off. Well, not on and off either. Just the whole time. Best part of 16 years, maybe even more. Been training for now. Initially started it to better my rugby career because I did aspire to go quite far in rugby. I did fairly well rugby wise, but um, coming towards when I was about 18, I started to get a lot of injuries. And funny enough, the injuries that was having also now kind of they hold me back a little bit in terms of the bodybuilding
yeah,
perspective as well. They're not like injuries; they're more kind of like tightnesses, like you mentioned before we came on, like mobility kind of issues.
Yeah.
and they were just sort of rearing their head um, as I came out of playing rugby, and that led me then to go down because I always loved training. Even funnily enough, another lad who you've had on the podcast, um,
I don't know Butcher's name. How do you say it? Is it
Cleon.
Ilion?
Cleon.
Cleon.
So
Cleon. Big up
in
Cleon.
Wales, double L is pronounced
Oh, is it? Oh, I didn't know. He didn't tell me
Cleon.
that. He just let me fail. He
So what
just
did
let
you
me.
call him? Lion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Leon, I went to college with Leon. We both were very good. We were both good rugby players, but we both happened to sort of fall in love with the weight training side of things a
Yeah.
little bit more. So we actually, you know, we were training like bodybuilders, and we loved bodybuilding whilst we were in college, and that was a very very long time ago. That was 13 years ago. I was with him, and it's quite funny how he's now also a bodybuilder as well.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
We were also in college with a lad who then moved to New Zealand, and he's now a competitive bodybuilder in New Zealand as well, and he's very good as well. He I don't know what if he's still doing it, but he was on the cusp of pro card potential
Mm.
this year, so that was quite
What's
cool.
his name?
I don't want to butcher this now either, but
Oh
his
no.
name's Paris Theodosio,
Oh yeah.
uh, but he's called like something Pathos on Instagram. I'll have to find him for you, but he's a very good bodybuilder as well. Very good genetics. But yeah, so in terms of that, you know, bodybuilder, natural bodybuilder, also online coach. I've been online coaching since I was 19, 20. So, 10,
That's a long time.
10 plus years. When I started coaching, it wasn't a thing. Like it wasn't really a thing.
Mm.
Obviously you had the famous prep coaches, like the Acetos, the Chad Nichols and stuff, but coaching wasn't really a thing. I think, like Jordan Peters was, for example, but it certainly wasn't a proper job, that's for sure. But I had a job at the time, but I was also, doing coaching on the side where people were checking in via email once a week. Yeah. Um, and then went full time online in 2021. Yeah, so I've been full time.
Not that long
Well,
ago actually.
4 or 5 years. I've been. Yeah, but I mean, like quitting my job to just
Fully just self-employed.
yeah, to be a
Okay.
self-employed coach. So I did
Yeah.
that in 2021. Yeah, because I was still coaching whilst doing other jobs on the side as well. Then but yeah, so all in since 21. Um, Done a fair bit since then in terms of I was living in South Wales. I then moved to sort of Rotherham area because I wanted to prep out of Ultraflex Rotherham, being the mega gym. Have you been yet?
I went once, but mate, all the kit was fucking being upholstered.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it's like it's about an hour from where I live, and it was actually an hour and 40 minutes because of traffic.
All right.
And I got there and I was like, nothing there.
No, I think at some point you'll have to get it because I haven't been to every gym in the UK by any stretch, but it is the best gym in the UK. Especially in terms of the kit side of things.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
second to none in terms of
Looks
kit.
crazy.
But yeah, I moved my life from South Wales to Yorkshire area to train out of Rotherham. I was there for 2.5 years. And then I've moved up to Newcastle now. So I'm currently training out of Ultraflex Durham, which obviously is still a fantastic facility in itself.
How far's where you live to Ultraflex Durham? How
What
how far's the
what
journey?
20 minutes?
Yeah, that's
So
not
it's,
too
it's not
bad.
it's not too bad. It's all
No.
I am moving. I'll be moving house in the next sort of two months.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, but still in Newcastle, but it'll be maybe another 15 or so minutes further north then. So I'll still be doing the drive, but it just makes it a little bit more of a trip then. So
Are you in a house right now or are you in an apartment?
I'm in a house. I'm in a rented flat at the moment,
Okay.
but I've recently bought a property, so going to be moving into that
But that's a
in.
nightmare being self-employed and everything.
Oh, yes, it is, mate. Yes,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is. Luckily, well, luckily my partner is in full-time work, so there was no issues on. It's funny because it required literally one bit of information from her, and then
Yeah, it's fine.
hundreds from me. So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, just following on from what you were saying about growing up in Wales and stuff, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about like where you actually grew up and like what was your early childhood like in Wales? Like obviously you spoke a bit about Cleon and college and stuff, but what was
Yeah.
before that? Like what was going on at that point when you were in Wales and you started growing up?
Okay, so I am from Swansea in South Wales, down a peninsula called the Gower Peninsula. So it's a very nice part of the UK. Very coastal. Some of the nicest beaches in Europe. So I had a realistically I had a very good upbringing.
Yeah.
I can't complain. I can't complain about my upbringing at all. So went to a great school, both primary and secondary. Played rugby from a very early age. I think I started rugby when I was 8. No, 7. Yeah, 7. I started rugby. My dad my dad coached me the whole way through, um, from the age of 7 to like 16, 17. So obviously he pushed me quite a lot with that. So I've got him to thank for a lot of things. I've also got a few things to not thank him for, but that wasn't anything, no fault of his own. But yeah, so played pretty well, pretty good standard rugby. One of
Yeah.
the things that held me back was the position that I was trying to play. I was very good at, but I wasn't quite big enough. I was, I'm 5'11". Obviously when I was younger, I was even shorter again, and a lot of it because I was trying to play flanker. A lot of the players were significantly taller than me. Some of them were bigger than me, but that kind of got me into training really because I wanted to get bigger. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it certainly worked because I poured a lot into the training side of things,
Mm.
alongside my dad who trained with me and stuff. So I grew a lot in that, and that led me then, from secondary school. I managed to get a scholarship to the college where obviously I met Leon, who also got a scholarship there as well.
Yeah.
So that was, and obviously that was all for rugby. We went, you went to that college to play rugby basically. Like it was a very good college academically, but the main reason why you were there was to play rugby. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like, I don't want to waffle too long, but that's kind of like a brief run through as me as a kid, really.
So what I'd say is obviously you're into rugby and stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously you said you wanted to get bigger. And when you like you obviously wanted to get bigger and you've got into the gym, when did bodybuilding like appear on the radar? Because we both know like going to the gym and bodybuilding, they are different things. Because obviously bodybuilding is a separate thing that's competing and everything. What actually like got you into bodybuilding from being in the gym? Because obviously you're a rugby player, going to the gym to get bigger, then how did bodybuilding pop up?
Yeah, I think I I was always very inspired and took a lot of information from people that were competing and within the bodybuilding scene. Like the first sort of encounter I had of searching for information online, because obviously back then there was nothing compared to what there is
Yeah.
now. I stumbled upon. I remember this is funny. No one will know. No one will remember this guy. There was a guy called Ruben Barja who was a Australian personal trainer, but in mega shape. Could have been like a men's physique kind of guy. So I stumbled upon like his he had like a member site, not a paid one, and I just did loads of research on there. Shaped a lot on my training, because my training was never sort of strength and conditioning related. It was never like training to be a rugby player. It was always, just building muscle really. Um, and then I stumbled upon a website in the process called Simply Shredded, which still goes on now. And it's just, they used to do interviews with bodybuilders and people
Yeah.
in the physique realm. And I must have been looking at that when I was 15.
That's
Um,
crazy, man.
so like my early inspirations with training all came from bodybuilders straight away, because
Yeah.
I think that the main people that were on that site were like, Ulysses was on there. Simeon Panda was on there.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
even very early Callum Von Mogger was on there. So I was yeah. So I was even though I was doing it for like kind of rugby purposes, I was very focused on kind of like the physique side of things as well. I was a bit of a chubby kid growing up,
Yeah.
which kind of drove me into wanting to make a change. So I did change my diet very substantially when I was younger. Um, I started, taking certain things out of my diet when I was quite young, and completely eliminating them because I just wanted to, get rid of the chubby names that I got called now and again. And then that kind of like got me into the gym. And then I quickly became known as like the gym boy. Even when I was like 15, people were like, "Oh yeah, Jack Thorburn, he's the one that goes to the gym," and that probably probably helped by the fact that I used to let everyone know in school that I went to the gym because I had my maxi muscle shaker with my protein shake. I used to fucking walk around with my shake like, whoa, and everyone would be like, "Oh, Jack Thorburns on protein, Jack Thorburns on protein." That's actually what people used to say. Jack Thorburns on protein.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's funny how times change. So
So would you say like that sort of competitive like work ethic and mindset was switched by the fact of like you getting cool names and also the fact that you needed to get stronger for rugby? Did that sort of like get you in that sort of like, I'm going to change my diet, I'm going to go to the gym, things are going to start to change? Was that all because of those reasons? Or was
yeah, I
that
think
it?
there must be an underlying reason like that. That must be one of the underlining reasons for sure.
Yeah.
I've always been pretty dedicated, and you know, in everything I do, like my my dad is very very strong-willed. He's very extreme in anything he wants to do. Like he was a very very good rugby player in himself, and obviously he wanted to push me within that. So I he pushed me quite hard in rugby. So and even with the training side of things, I've mentioned this on podcasts before, but we used to have a bench press in our garage, and every Wednesday was like bench day. So we'd be in there, and he'd be spotting me. And there was a player who got in ahead of me for one of the rugby teams I was going to get in. And he would stand over the top of me. And when I was like getting close to failure, he would start like screaming that player's name at me. And I'd be like, like and pushing back up. So yeah, like a lot of my motivation and determination and just my ability to like sacrifice things, that probably has come a lot from my dad.
Yeah.
And I had a very good upbringing. And my parents fed me very healthily growing. Like I
Mm.
never had shit really. I
Yeah.
had the odd treat on like a Friday night would be like pizza night or whatever. But I was doing chicken breast and stuff, you know, for as long as I can remember. So I ate very well. So I've got them to thank for that as well. Um, but like I don't know really in terms of where the determination side of things comes from. Maybe that sort of name calling as
Yeah.
because I can't pinpoint exactly where it came from, but you know that happened to me at a very young age. That was happening to me when I was in year four, year three, year four, year five, around that time. So that's pretty young. So maybe that sparked something. I don't know.
Yeah, but it seems to me that like your dad was actually very determined himself because he was obviously doing that, like helping you like bench press and stuff, and he was a professional sportsman himself. So maybe that was just down to basically having, and obviously, so you eat healthily. Those things combined, that's actually quite almost like subconscious going to make you go down that route, if you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying, because you've got that sort of structure. Do you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Like
That's
I like for when I was very younger, I can remember being woken up at 5 in the morning, hearing my dad training downstairs because he used to have a personal trainer who would come to the house. But that's not a thing anymore. That used to be quite a big thing. So like personal trainers they'd be like mobile personal trainers. So they'd go, I'm showing my age now. They'd go to like people's houses and stuff. yeah, I can remember I used to hear my dad on the punch bag downstairs because he'd be screaming at my dad, like, fucking hit me. um, so yeah, and now and again, they'd ask me if I wanted to go out and run with them on the street and stuff, and I'd do that. So yeah, it's probably just, coming from him, my parents and stuff. So that's probably
Yeah.
where, yeah.
So after this, what actually inspired you to make the move into competitive bodybuilding? Actually stepping on stage, and can you just have like a rough like timeline of like when you first went on stage, and like when obviously you were like 14, 15, but when did you actually first step on stage? How old were you?
Okay, so in terms of
Sorry, that's a
like,
lot of
in terms
questions,
of
but
no, 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 in terms of what inspired me to like compete, when I moved to college, um, I quickly became friendly with someone who Cleon's actually used to be really friendly with. This boy called Brandon Allsop. He he was a second year in college, but he'd already competed as a bodybuilder. But he was a rugby player as well, but he'd already competed. So he kind of like took me under his wing, and we used to train all the time together. And he kind of got me into the actual competitive side of things. I used to, even at that age, I was collecting Flex magazines. So when I was like
yeah,
16, 17, collecting Flex magazines, every morning when we used to go and train at 5 o'clock in the morning, I would I would lay out all of my Flex magazines to the body part that I was training. So if I was training like arms, I'd have like 10 magazines all opened up to like some arm training manual or, fucking Phil Heath doing curls. And I just should look at them and be like, right, that's what I'm going to do today. But that's kind of like what got me into the competitive bodybuilding side of things. Like we used to stay up and watch, the Olympia every year when it was on in college and stuff. Um, and then coming out of there, so that was me at 18. Stopped playing rugby after college, went to uni, and that kind of just continued through uni then. So, I trained like a bodybuilder throughout that. Met a few other people because I moved to Cardiff then, so I met a few other people that were in the sort of more in the bodybuilding industry, and that probably pushed me even more. And I then bumped into two coaches that are quite famous in South Wales. They're not. They've got a decent name within the UK. People will still know who I'm referring to here. But there's a couple called Mike and Lisa Gelsey. Um,
I don't know.
they they are judges with FitX at the moment, I believe. They used to be heavily involved with the PCA as well.
Okay.
Um, they they basically spoke to me one day and said, of course they were kind of coaching for their coaching side of things, but they basically said, we think you can do really well in terms of like the bodybuilding perspective. Um, so they said they'd coach me. So they then coached me for the best part of 6 months, then getting ready for. Well, I probably had about 4 or 5 months of an off season with them, and then about 4 months of a prep with them. So they kind of were got me. They were the ones that sort of pushed me to actually get on stage because
Yeah.
I was a bodybuilder for 5 years before I ever got on stage. I mean, like I literally had the same meals every single day, trained every single day like a bodybuilder, without any intentions really of getting up on stage. And then they kind of made me aware of the routes that I could go down and stuff. So and then that was 2016 then, and that's kind of where I got hooked. Um, Ever since then, really.
So what was your like training like earlier on, like before you stepped on stage? I remember like I spoke to Cleon about it, Cleon,
Yeah,
whatever it is, and he said it was just like I remember I think he was referring to like you as well, like that's the sort of lads in that college. Was that the sort of training you were doing as well? Just basically going in there and just doing bread and butter movements, basics, and just
yeah,
training really hard.
yeah. The thing is, obviously, at that age, you can get away with doing anything, really. Like your recovery is great. You can fucking dive bomb a squat, and you're not going to get hurt. But yeah, when we were in college, you know, it was a weight room full of testosterone and boys that were fucking like mental. Like Cleon won't mind me saying this. That boy is fucking nuts. He had a very good friend from not far from him who came to college as well. His name was Sean Hughes. Sean Sean walked into college on his first day, and I think he squatted 250, 250
Ooh,
like 16 years old. This
that's
kid's like
mad.
walking in because
Raw, like
I
completely
was one
raw.
of the best squatters. I was one of the best squatters there, so I used to walk around like, oh yeah, I've got this, and then this kid walks in and fucking
Any warm-ups?
yeah. But he was like, this kid was like basically a power lifter, and he I haven't touched base with him in a while, but he last time I saw from him, he's sponsored by SBD.
Okay.
Incredible powerlifter. Unfortunately, I think he injured himself quite badly. He tore a bicep. He tore a bicep on a deadlift in comp.
Or mixed grip.
I can't. I yeah. I think it was mixed.
Yeah.
He tore a bicep on that. I think he's back from it, but I haven't seen anything. But yeah, like the weight room was just full of absolute nutters. Like speaker on the wall, blaring metal music. Yeah, I mean, it was just we took inspiration from a lot of like the Flex magazines and all that, but back then a lot of them were preaching the bread and butter stuff. I used to do Jay Cutler's back workout religiously.
Yeah.
Overhand pull, like normal pull down, next exercise overhand pull down, barbell row, then underhand grip row, then T-bar. But yeah, like we used to do mad stuff, like triple drop sets on barbell squat. And then next exercise would be like triple drop set on leg press. And then we'd go out, and I know Leon used to love doing this. We'd do like walking lunges, like Ronnie Coleman style. So we do the length of the pitch, walking lunges. Like that used to be the worst thing, because
They hurt.
we take the speakers outside and do walking lunges along the like a full length of the rugby pitch. We'd be fucked. Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was just doing hard stuff really. Um, but we all absolutely loved training, and it was an absolute dungeon of a gym. Like when I think about what I have access to now and what we had there, like you wouldn't believe the kit we had. But we were I now and again I share pictures of me, but like when I was in college, so age like 17, 18, for my age, I was in very good shape. So it certainly didn't do me any harm training in that gym.
Yeah. And that's the problem, like the amount of bodybuilding gyms in the UK is just I mean when we talk bodybuilding gyms, sort of like proper bodybuilding gyms are
Yeah,
just they just seem to be just disappearing.
yeah.
Just like where have they all gone? Do you know what I mean?
I think but it's also because even Rotherham faces this issue in terms of that there aren't that many people that are actual bodybuilders and
Yeah.
want to be in a bodybuilding gym.
No, it's no
People
clientele.
people like the idea of training, but they
Yeah.
don't like the idea of fucking busting their ass in a gym or
Mm,
music blaring and stuff. And I get that it's not for everyone, but it's that's why the sort of like commercial gyms do so well.
yeah. Yeah. So what I want to talk about is just go through like your first competition prep and like what happened, how did you get into it, what was the process, and yeah,
So obviously did a little off season with those coaches that picked me up, Mike and Lisa,
yeah,
which was actually really productive. That because that was my first like proper off season as such. That was really productive. And then went into a prep. I basically told Mike, who was coaching me, I don't get on well with carbs. I don't know where I got that from. I told him I don't get on with carbs, and he went, right then, if that if that's the case, we're doing 16 weeks of keto, no carbs. So I did I did zero added carbs for the whole prep. It was 23 grams of carbs, but that was all from veg.
oh
So
my God,
I did so there was no added carbs to the whole prep. So I did 16 weeks of zero carb.
that's
Um,
fucking
but
nuts.
that was my welcome to bodybuilding. Yeah, I literally did zero carb the whole prep. Um, busted my ass on the stairmaster fucking all the time. And then I did a PCA show, funny enough.
What year
They
was
didn't
this?
16, 2016.
2016. Yeah.
They didn't have natural shows back then, so I did the PCA Welsh Classic Physique. I came fourth out of about a class of 8, I think.
It's not
Uh,
bad.
I sh- I should have come. I should have come third. The guy who came third, uh, he competed at that show every single year. He was disabled, like quite heavily disabled. He was like partially blind, slightly deformed. I can't remember his name. I'm not going to throw him under the bus anyway, but I should have beaten him. But he got a token win, whatever. Um, so yeah, that was me in that show. Bit the bug, even though I fucked up drastically on the day. I was running massively late because I wasn't. You know, you learn quickly that bodybuilding shows never run on time and stuff. So you've always got to be ready early and whatever. So I had a bit of a stinker on that day. I didn't pump up. I ate my meal, my pre-stage meal, about 10 minutes before I went on stage. And I didn't have any on the day tan on either. So that wasn't the best. But then 2 weeks later, I competed in Naba, Wales. Luckily, the other two boys in my class were both natural as well. They just happened to be twins also, identical twins, and so I beat both of them. So I won Naba Juniors, the Welsh, in 2016, and then I went down the natural sort of competitive route, and I did the BMBF a few weeks after that, and that's when I kind of realized what natural bodybuilding was in the UK, because obviously the two federations before weren't natural. Did the BMBF, and I really, got bitten by the bug there and absolutely loved everything about it. Um, I won. I won the juniors there that day. Could have won the overall there as well, which would have been, I think that might have been the best thing that didn't happen to me, because if I'd have won an overall at my first ever show, like a natural show, that probably would have been, a high that I, couldn't have chased after that, because you've
Yeah.
won the show then really. Um, but then that qualified me for the finals, which was in, I think, 8 weeks after. So you've got to take into consideration here. My contest prep in my first year of competing was about 36 weeks,
Oh,
um, and the first 16 of those was zero carb as well. So um, I did I,
trenches.
I did add carbs back in after that, because I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then I qualified for the BNBF finals in Perth in Scotland, and I competed in that, and that was a mega event. So that really got me hooked in bodybuilding. Um,
Yeah.
Doing the finals, I came third there. Once again, I'm going to sound like a sore loser all the time here, but I I I personally think I won that show, even though I came third. The guy the guy who beat me in second was very heavily muscled. Taff, his name is, very heavily muscled, just nowhere near as conditioned as me. And then the guy who won it, Steve, who's a very good bodybuilder, Steve McDonald. I felt like I had more muscle than him, and I was leaner than him. He's just got quite a nice shape. But but hey, so that was kind of like my first year competing, and I loved it so much that I had about a 12 to 16 week break, like off season, and then I jumped straight back into prep and competed in 2017 again. And anyone that's prepped, especially someone that's prepped naturally as well, you quickly realize that you do not recover from a long prep in 3 months. So I basically jumped straight back into prep, and I hadn't recovered at all. So I was basically prepping for 2 years straight. And I came out of 2017 an absolute zombie, and I was not in a good way. So
How did you do in 2017?
pretty well again. So I came out of juniors that year. So 2017, I was out of juniors. So that was another thing. I did juniors in 16. It was my last year. So straight away, I was out of juniors as a kid, but straight into the senior class. But I did BMBF Welsh. Won. I won the middleweights there. Didn't win the overall. But I was pissed off I didn't win the overall. So then a couple of weeks later, I did the BMBF Southerns, I won my class then, and then won the overall as well in that show, which was mega. Like that was one of the best days of my life. Winning an overall feels very, very good. It was funny though. My parents didn't even come with me, so I drove like 5 hours to Leatherhead from Swansea by myself. Competed, won the whole show, and then I'm walking through Leatherhead town centre with like 3 trophies and caked in fake tan on Sunday, and everyone was just looking at me, like, what's going on? And then yeah, qualified for finals that year again. Did finals, was meant to be a middleweight. I got given an evening weigh-in when everyone else was weighing in the morning. Didn't think anything of it, but then obviously I'd carb loaded, water loaded, so then I weighed in quite a lot more than I was meant to. So then I got chucked in the heavyweight class at
Oh
finals.
no.
So I've gone from being a junior in 2016 to then a heavyweight bodybuilder at the British finals a year later. So that was that was an eye opener.
Yeah.
Even though I did incredibly well. I was over the moon with how I did at that show. Um, Even though, once again, I'm going to sound like a sore loser. There are people that told me I probably won that show, even though I came fourth. They I don't want to talk politics because I'm not massively into it, but at the end of the day, I was literally a kid, first year out of juniors, in with boys that have been in that federation for years. There's yes, it is who's the best guy on the day, but there's also a little bit of a rite of passage,
Yeah.
especially if it's quite tight. If it's quite tight,
Mm.
they're going to give it to people that have been, beaten with the federation.
Grafting for years. Yeah.
I also did have a little bit of an attitude on me at the time as well.
Well, like Phil
Um,
Heath and Kai Green, just get out of the way.
so yeah, that was mega. And then I, I did get a few like that's where some of my niggles started playing up though in 2017. So I decided to take a good break off the stage then and get those sorted, which is why then it took me 5 years to then get back up and compete in 2022.
5 years.
Yeah, so I had like a 5 year off season, near enough. So yeah,
It's just a while then. Just a while.
yeah.
Um, but what would you say you drew most from those? Like, obviously, because you said you don't, that's mad. Like, you did like a 30 something week prep in your first season. You had a really good first season, it sounds like. That sounds like a really good experience. And then you have like, 15-week off season, then you go again. What would you say you got like the most you got out of those preps, like in terms of like taking the knowledge you got into the other preps you did in like 5 years' time? What was it
It,
like you learned
it,
most about bodybuilding?
it may I don't know in terms of like what I learned about bodybuilding, but what I learned about myself in terms of like without blowing smoke up my ass, my discipline, if I want it to be, is like second to none. You
Yeah.
know, to be literally thrown in and said, right, you're doing zero carb for 16 weeks, and I was like, yeah, sound, I'll do it, and I literally did it without a single complaint. I never once said to the coach like, oh, I want this, I want that, please, can we lower this, can we do this? In fact, I actually got told to have an off plan. The coach messaged me and said, well, this is how he phrased it. He said, I know you're not going to have it because I know how you are. But he said, I want you to have this, this, and this. So he told me to have this food, but he premised it by saying, I know you're not going to have it because I know like the mentality you have. So I actually like turned down the off plan that he wanted me to have a few weeks out. But yeah, it made me realize that like I could just turn on full robot mode and get any job
Yeah.
done. Like I was, I keep throwing statements around like, "Oh, I did this," but I know what I did. The whole like early morning crew, that was never a thing. Like people getting up early was never a thing before. You know how everyone's on this like grafting all the time now,
4 a.m.
up
Yeah.
at 4 a.m. Yeah, that never used to be a thing. That was never a thing. It might have been in terms of like a business perspective, like CEOs getting up at fucking any time, but like within the fitness industry, it was not a thing. I used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to drive to the gym to do the stairmaster, and everyone used to be like, "You're fucking crazy!" Like no one used to do stuff like that. And I'm like, "What are you doing?"
That is
Um,
mad.
yeah, so that and 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 I was doing that before I was kind of like aware of that's what bodybuilders did. You know, like Kai Green used to do it, this, that, and the other. Like I used to, and then obviously I became aware that that's what the hardcore bodybuilders would do. So yeah, I'd be on the stairmaster in the morning, like 4, half 4 in the morning, doing it. Um, I think that made me realize that, like, in terms of a discipline perspective, like I can get anything done if I want to.
Yeah, that's crazy. 4 a.m. in the Stairmaster. Um, I asked the previous guest, Jack Richardson.
Jack Richardson, I know Jack. Yeah.
Yeah, I asked him a very interesting question. I wanted to know your response to it. Is how do you personally measure success as a bodybuilder? Because obviously going on the back of the question about your prep and everything, I thought that'd be quite an interesting question to ask you. How do you personally measure success as a bodybuilder for you?
Well, it's very tough, and I don't want to get like emotional about things, because it you know it is a question that potentially can upset me a little bit, because it's where a lot of my struggles come from as well, in terms of like an anxiety perspective. Like I have fucking, we'll probably get a question or two about it. I don't know. I have like very, 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 very bad anxiety since 2022 from prep, but it's a pressure side of things, because I know kind of how good I could be, should be, whatever, and I worry about whether I can like achieve that. So I
Yeah,
think for me, it's more so about. But then, to link it to your question, I was gonna answer it and say it's more so about whether I feel like I'm doing as well as I uh, like should be, or whether I look the way I could look. But then, in terms of being a bodybuilder, will you ever achieve that? Because
yeah.
you're
What
always
more?
setting higher standards, aren't you?
Yeah,
Um, so it's very hard, you know, because I remember when I was younger, and I used to think, fuck, I'm Billy Big Balls, like I'm the best thing ever. And in my head, I remember me looking very, very good, and I can remember how I used to feel. But then I look back at pictures, and I think that's not that great. But is that just because my standards have risen
yeah,
massively?
yeah, yeah,
And also within that, the standards around the world have risen massively. Like when I competed as a junior in 2016, granted I was a very good junior at the time, I'd probably I'd have a hard time with some of the boys in juniors now. And that was me winning multiple shows,
yeah.
but now that the standard in natural bodybuilding now is incredible.
Crazy.
It's
Yeah.
incredible. Like the standard in bodybuilding in general is good, but the standard in natural bodybuilding is next level. Like in the UK, it's next level. How
Some of
good
the teens are just
teens,
mental.
mate? You've got teens winning overalls at shows.
I know.
Like
I know.
how does that happen? But it happens because these boys now have access to coaches, to information. You've got boys starting coaching at like 14, 15, you know. And I wasn't aware of any of this stuff till I was about 18. So, they're not I don't want to say wasting years, because I didn't waste years, but they're making the most out of their younger years, which is where the best years are for them. Um,
Yeah.
and also I think it's also that some of the genetic elite aren't going down the enhanced route too early, because
Yeah.
they're aware of how good natural bodybuilding is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, for example, I always butcher his name. Toitan, a boy from London way.
Yeah. I know who he is. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all know who he is. He's massive. Like he's blown up on socials. that boy is a genetic anomaly.
Mad.
Yeah, but I think in previous years, the, I don't want to say the wrong mouths because it's not wrong. I love enhanced bodybuilding as well. But he'd have had voices in his ear to go down enhanced bodybuilding, or there wouldn't have been the knowledge about natural bodybuilding. So someone would have said, "You should be a bodybuilder. You should go into bodybuilding. You need to do this, this, this in terms of what gear to use." So I think a lot of the genetic anomalies are staying in natural bodybuilding now, at least during their early years as well. So the standards through the roof. But anyway, I'm waffling now. In terms of measuring success, it's very hard to do that within bodybuilding because if you do it on how many shows you've won, you might have won a show that fucking the standard was crap. So,
Yeah.
so why does how does that matter? You might have also come third at a show where the standard was one of the best ever. But
Yeah.
it is more so about your own personal look. But then it's like once again that's very subjective within or objective in terms well subjective with yourself whether you're happy with how you look. Will you ever be happy? Like there've been many shows where I've been pretty happy with my look, but within bodybuilding you're never really happy with the look. So the problem with that is then I do you ever feel successful within bodybuilding? Like who
Yeah.
because there are probably a lot of people that have even done great things that probably weren't truly happy with how their career has gone until there might be a few. I doubt Chris Bumstead has many regrets with his career. He probably thinks he was pretty successful. I don't think he could have done much more with what he did. um Ronnie probably doesn't have. I remember listening to Ronnie say the only regret he ever has in
Squat.
bodybuilding
Yeah.
is squat
For 3 instead of 2.
because he fucking didn't go for another. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That video is iconic.
it's funny, isn't
That's, yeah.
it?
Um, what would I say? Yeah. So I don't want to like make you upset because obviously you said I know this from watching the podcast. Like obviously your anxiety is a sensitive topic. And
Yeah.
I don't want to
No, mate. Like, look, mate.
poke it
Ultimately,
or
I'm
anything.
in a pretty good sort of chilled state at the moment. Like, I've trained already. I've got any fucking tears out earlier. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a problem. You can talk about it. It's fine.
I was just gonna ask like what keeps you because obviously you had a 5 year off season, which is a long time.
Yeah.
What kept you pushing through that period towards the stage, and what keeps you pushing now towards the stage? Because obviously that's such a long period of time.
Yeah. But look, mate. It's ultimately the fact that even if the stage isn't there, it's what I do. Like
Yeah,
I absolutely love everything about it. I I was living the bodybuilder lifestyle way before there was talks of the stage. I still think now, like, will I compete again? I don't know. But I'm still gonna be training. I'm still gonna be eating my meals anyway. Like because people friends from back home and stuff say like, oh, how long are you gonna be eating like that for? Like when are you gonna eat normally? In my head, I'm thinking,
that is normal for you.
well, yeah, but in my head, I'm thinking, I can't imagine. I obviously it will get to a stage, but I can't imagine like not getting my scales out and weighing my food. Like it's just what I do. Like I can't think of not doing that, and that's not an issue for me. It doesn't. It's not. I don't dislike doing it. It's not a chore. It's just what I do. So to answer the question, like even with that 5 year off season, I just switch off to it. I on my good days, I love training, so I'm always going to be doing that anyway. That's just what I do.
Yeah,
Um, you know, on the days that I really don't enjoy training, because with the anxiety side of things, without looping back to it too much, because I don't really want to make it my whole fucking personality.
yeah.
It's really not an enjoyable endeavor. It's really not enjoyable. But I know deep down that I do love training, so I still just fucking get it done.
Yeah. I think that's interesting because like what you're saying is the fact that you weren't on stage for so long, it didn't really affect you that much because you were just basically doing the process anyway,
Yeah.
except from not getting fucking diced.
The the getting on stage is just the result of me loving the process. You
Yeah,
know, I compete because I love training. I
yeah,
don't I don't train to compete, you know,
no, no, no,
which is
no,
where a lot of people go wrong, you know.
yeah,
Um, but they quickly get whittled out within
yeah.
bodybuilding. So
Yeah, if you don't have a genuine passion for your training, I mean, I haven't competed in anything, but
mm,
if you don't love your training, it's not going to get you very far because passion's going to is the thing that's going to take you far, isn't it?
yeah,
So,
for sure, for sure.
would you say, looking back on your competitive career, like let's say you couldn't compete again, like this is the end of Jack Thorburn, would you
Mhm.
say it's been as fulfilling as you thought it would be your journey, like your competitive journey?
Well, it's been incredible. Yeah, it's been incredibly fulfilling. I think the only frustration would be in 2016 and 2017. I absolutely loved the prep side of things and the competing. It was an amazing time. The only frustration would be in 2022 when I competed last, even though arguably that was my most successful season. Um, I hated it in terms of because I was just riddled with anxiety throughout it. Like I woke up on show morning, the first show of the year, and I was like, I literally don't want to be here. I don't want to compete. I have no desire or excitement to compete, which is mad because every other show I did, I woke up like a kid on Christmas. Like I couldn't wait. But all throughout 22, I just felt so bad the whole year. So I couldn't live in the moment. I couldn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah,
Like I fucking God, I tried. Like I tried to kind of like convince myself to, and you know, I I kind of luckily I kind of managed to enjoy when I went to LA to compete in the finals because I went to Worlds in Los Angeles, in America. Luckily, I had a pretty good few days in terms of my mental headspace. So I was actually able to kind of take everything in there and enjoy it. And I had a great time. But for the best part of the rest of the year, because that was about a 40-week prep. Um, so I didn't really enjoy my time too much then. So that's a frustration in that like I couldn't enjoy something that I'd worked, 5 years for. That was a little frustrating, but in terms of like the only regret I'd have is that but the problem is it was brewing for a long while. But the only regret I'd have is that I allowed the anxiety to sort of take over, you know?
yeah. Because I remember I was a few days ago I was trying to basically like sort out my YouTube video. I was trying to tag you in it because I wanted to find your YouTube handle, and I came across your YouTube. And I actually watched the two videos,
Right.
and I think I think the video I watched was the show that qualified you to go to the finals, wasn't it? It was I can't remember what it was.
Yeah,
You
oh,
placed
yeah,
Did you place second?
it was the BMBF finals that one was. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I watched. And I was like, "There's crazy conditioning on that stage." To be fair,
I got I
crazy.
got I got beaten by a very good athlete on that day. But the frustration with that show was if you win a British final in previous years, you get lifetime qualification for that federation. So I deliberately dieted down very, very hard to get to a weight class that I knew all the boys had qualified for. And I knew I'd beat them because I was better than everyone else in that weight class that qualified. So I dropped a weight class to get in there, turned up on the day, and Liam, who had won the finals 2 years before, hadn't told anyone he was doing the show, and then turns up and he was in my class. So I did all that hard work to drop weight for him to then ruin everything. So yeah.
Yeah, just a quick question. Did they pay for your flights to go out there to
No,
Los Angeles?
not that year. Um, this, the, there's been talks about it on a few occasions, but the problem is, mate, there was about 12 of us,
Yeah, so we've been, and it's a
12
long
of us going
journey.
out. I think flights were like 700, £800.
Yeah,
So, it's very hard. That's the problem, within natural bodybuilding, mate, there's no fucking money, you know.
Yeah, I know.
It's very hard for these federations to do things like that. So obviously it did cost me quite a bit. I wouldn't change it for the world. I'd I'd worked for 40 weeks for that. I'd gone through a lot of rough times for it. That was literally like the only thing that kind of like kept me going, because I was like, this is it's because it was a goal of mine ever since I started bodybuilding, was to compete abroad. So I thought, just suck it up and get it done. So yeah, I'd happily pay that money again.
Yeah. So I know you sort of like answered this a little bit, but what is your plan for your future competitions? Are you ever going to compete again? Do you want to, and yeah, what's happening with that?
So obviously I'd love to. Like I am, I absolutely love bodybuilding, but ultimately that's dependent on me getting on top of the mental side of things, because I I won't be able to present a better physique unless I sort of continue to work on the head side of things. Because without going into it too much, it is, from a training perspective, it's debilitating. Like, it doesn't allow me to train really at all. And unless it's like seen in person, and then like actually explained in person, it's very hard for people to get like the gist of it. But like, if you can imagine what a deer in headlights looks like,
Yeah,
that's kind of how I feel on the gym floor, basically. So kind of like
yeah,
frozen. So like, until I get, continue to work on that mental aspect of things, it's very hard to train. It's very hard to make any sort of progress at all. So, I won't, and I did very well in 2022, so for me to present a package that's, equivocal to that or better,
yeah,
I need to make sure that my head's in a good space, and then I have a good few years of training well.
yeah. I get you. And just talking about training, how would you describe your mental approach to training? Yeah, how would you describe it? Like in terms of what's been your, maybe since you first started, has it changed to where you are now? What has been your fundamental approach to training?
I think the sort of rugby college atmosphere side of things definitely shaped it, in terms of like, just, and then there's like an ego within it as well, because like I pride myself on, like my work rate and being able to like do things other people won't do or whatever. Like, that's what I've always kind of
Yeah,
told myself, that's the attitude you need to have. So I've always trained like fucking madman kind of style. Um, like when I used to be coached by those two coaches, they used to PT me once a week as well. And like, you wouldn't believe the stuff we used to do in terms of like giant sets with like three different movements. And I'd literally do every one of them till I literally couldn't move. When we used to do those triple drop sets on the squat in college, it would literally be, like 180 on the bar, and you would go until you pinned. Like, failure was not like you managed to get the last rep up. It would literally be like you'd be pinned to the floor, and then they'd have to re-rack it, play it off, go again. So you'd literally stop every time you like hit the floor, basically. So I've always just, whether that was that productive, I don't know, but I felt like, for better or for worse, I used to always train with like the thought process of, I literally have to go until I can't. And sometimes that would see me do like stupid drop sets. It would see me do stupid rest pauses, but it was kind of the mentality of just like training as hard as I physically can. You know,
yeah,
I've kind of got away from that now. Like, I believe a lot more in like the straight sets kind of thing, and just training as hard as you can within that. Like, not doing anything stupid really beyond failure. But that, I think, if my training was good and normal, I may still gravitate back towards that, just because I like doing like hard stuff. so like a lot of stuff that I used to do when I was younger, or even even when I was competing, wasn't necessarily what people deemed like the most effective, but it's what it was hard and I loved doing that.
Yeah. I mean, drop sets are fantastic. I don't know why people don't use them, but again, it's we'll go into that because I don't really want to waffle on too much about science-based lifting because I'll be here for fucking 20 hours. But yeah, so just talking more about training, what would you say like your best lifts have been in terms of training? What would you say like you over the years, what's been the best lifts for you in terms of numbers and stuff? I'm just curious.
Well, it's funny because it was probably when I was a lot younger. So I did a 200. I know we're talking like powerlifting stuff here, really, though, aren't we? Because like I did a 200 squat when I was 18. Um, I did a 220 deadlift when I was 17. Um, but then if we're talking like bodybuilding stuff, when I was like 16, I used to do 15 like proper bodybuilding pull-ups. I used to do the start of every session, I'd bang out pull-ups. Um, I've never had a good bench really, but I used to dumbbell press the when I was about 18, I would do the 120. So what are the in pounds? What's that? In kilos, that's probably about 50.
55.
About 50, yeah. I used to do 50 to those on an incline for a set of 10, which is pretty good.
Fucking hell, mate, that's
Yeah.
fucking strong that.
Um, so I was a lot stronger like when I was younger. Like I wish I'd made well, I say I wish I'd been able to keep that sort of trajectory up, but I think, I might have copped an injury during that time really with those sort of numbers if they'd carried on progressing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that strength is just purely down to like I had a decent amount of muscle mass on me, but I think so much of strength is governed by like your aggression and like your
Yeah.
ability to apply yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people have it in them in terms of the strength wise, but they just haven't got it to really, like push it.
If you do that, then everyone hates you for some reason. I don't understand why. Because like like
But yeah,
as you
because
just
it's
said,
because it's so because it's so far away from the norm.
yeah. But it's the norm now though. Was it the norm back then? Was it like that back then? Was gyms
It was
becoming
the
a
norm.
library?
It was the norm in that college I was at, which is why we all excelled
Yeah.
because we were all fucking nuts, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
filled filled with testosterone, like wanted to like massive egos on everyone, like wanted to be better than anyone else in there. Um, so I think that was very much the norm for me. Like I've also never really given a shit about what anyone's perceptions of me are in terms of like I do I do pride myself on being a great person and like a nice person, but like I've never worried about what people think of me in terms of like or how he's training or what he's doing in the gym and stuff.
Yeah. So without going on about too much, what is your I'd say what is your fundamental belief about or view on the science-based lifting situation? I just want to know, like, because I know what you'll say a bit, but I just want to know what you, for the people what listening, what is your opinion on it at the moment?
It's hard because I'm a relatively intelligent individual. I do have like a science based history in terms of doing sports science, doing a strength and conditioning masters. So like I am coming from a research based kind of background to a degree, but I'm also a fucking meathead as well. So I do enjoy the sort of intricacies in terms of like how you train, technique wise. I always have. Um, I do I do quite a bit of research in terms of like the best way to do things, how you should be programming certain things. But also at the same time, I think the number one thing that has to be our priority and that governs the whole of your progress is effort. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
I would take effort with you training like a fucking idiot all day over someone that puts no effort in at all but is like super optimal. So that's kind of where the gripe is really in terms of like the science-based lifters when they train like too fatty. However, I do look at some, I've got a reel coming out not too far away, and you'll have seen the video because it blew up. You might have even commented on it. You might have even shared it. There's a kid. He always wears gasp. He's an absolute twig. He's doing a tricep push down on a lap, a standing kind of.
Is this the guy with the Minecraft elbows wraps?
Oh, it might be.
They
Yeah,
look like it looks like Minecraft, like the logo. It's like,
I think it could be.
and
But
it's like
anyway,
that.
he's doing a fucking a
Yeah, yeah,
cuffed
yeah.
push out, like a dead stop. Um, and it's like
Hard.
he gets absolutely hounded by everyone, and I kind of get it. But then I watch his videos, especially that tricep push down, which went mad viral. That kid has actually gone to all out failure. Like he he's gone to failure, and I look at it and I think there are so many people in this comment section that I'd love to reply to and say, mate, he actually trains to failure. You fucking don't. So I'd probably rather take him over you. Like I know it's overkill. It is overkill what he does. It's stupid. Just do a tricep push down. But at the end of the day, he is still fucking giving it some. So fair play to him. The only issue comes then when people are. I made a reel on it the other day, and I know you quite enjoyed it. But like, so many of these people only do what they do to get a reaction, to then have this superiority
Yeah,
complex.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, I know this is better for me, so this is why I do it. Like, I don't think they actually want to just do something that shows the results in their physique. I don't know.
And also, I said about the money thing because
Oh,
that
that was
is,
that was a good point as well. Yeah,
yeah, monetization. It's mostly on TikTok. I don't, you can't get paid on Instagram unless you've got sponsorship.
right.
You only get people on TikTok. I used to do like TikTok edits for like rappers when I was younger.
Yeah,
Mate, you can make some serious bank on some of these videos. Like you get like paid a certain amount per like 1,000 views or something.
right.
And like these people are making like hundreds of pounds off each of these videos. Like these guys are going like, like all these like cuffs and stuff.
Well,
I
you
don't think they train like that.
well you can excuse. Well, that's almost like you can excuse the rage bait shit then if they're getting that much money off it. Like you can tell so many videos are just doing it for the bite.
Yeah. I've seen you in a few comment sections recently.
Oh, I love.
So
I mean,
Jack Thorburns commented.
I
Jack
love
Thorburns
I love
commented.
getting in a comment section. I do. Yeah.
I think you were in a the guy called Elijah Mundy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I commented on one of his videos, man. I was like, he was like a video of him going like about reps from reserve, and I commented like, how do you know how? I can't remember what it was about, but I was like, why are you talking about failure when all you do is train RIR? And I got about 1,500 comments. I just had to block him because literally it was just pinging, eager lifter, mate. It was
He
crazy.
yeah, he's got great content, but like he sometimes I watch his stuff and I'm like that was nowhere near failure. But
No, I don't like him. I don't like any of them. I think they train
he's
like,
he's very up his own arse though. Very up his own arse. Very
yeah,
sarcastic, but he's got decent content. He's probably making a hell of a lot of money off it as well. To
yeah.
be fair.
And coach, I don't know if he does coaching. Does he? I
I
don't
think
know.
he does, but not he doesn't push it really at all. But
No.
uh,
Yeah. So I'd say, do you think bodybuilding is relying too much on data now rather than actually just the art of training? Do you
I,
think,
I don't think I don't think competitive bodybuilding is at all.
no,
Like you don't see competitive bodybuilders doing any of that shit. It's all the TikTok boys, the broccoli heads, like that. That I look at people in the gym now and I watch them train and I'm like, I guarantee I know who they follow on Instagram or TikTok. Like I know just by the way they train. Um, so a lot of it is like easily influenced 17 to 21 year olds. I think that's where a lot of the like science based stuff is trickled down to. You don't see 25-plus-year-old lads doing it, do you?
I actually did see, JP. I saw Kuba was doing this as well. It's this sort of like, like the hammer strength, single arm pull down. Like the plate loaded
Are you
one.
talking about the frontal plane pull down? So when they
Yeah,
sit on it the other way, yeah, yeah.
I was just like, why? And as someone doing that, I obviously I'm bouncing around gyms at the moment because
Mm.
actually the home gym mate is very literally in the next week getting all the
Okay,
stuff
that's
in.
cool.
So
Cool.
I was looking in this gym and this guy I saw him from like the other side of the gym and he was literally you dead stopping this thing, mate. And obviously I'm not like range of motion or anything king, but this guy literally was just like this, like that. And I saw JP and Kuba doing it. I just don't know what's going on, Jack. I just pick up a dumbbell. That's what I say. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, I think like it's funny because JP like tinkers on kind of like he'll throw shade at the science based lot, saying just fucking train.
yeah,
But then there's parts of it within his training that's very much science based. You know.
he is a bit of a hypocrite, and he's not going to see this. So I have a lot of respect. Everyone has a lot of respect for him
Oh,
because obviously he's an
he's
absolute
he's
legend.
he
Yeah,
is he's pioneered. In my opinion, he's what's made British bodybuilding what it is. Really, like I
yeah.
know he's not a not really got on stage
The
really.
training philosophy, though,
Like he's done so much for British bodybuilding. Like
yeah. Um, I'd say moving on to like a bit of nutrition now because obviously I think we've covered a little bit about the training and everything. How would you say you approach nutrition in and out of a prep? Because I know you talked about like not having carbs and stuff in the first prep, but how does your off season look like with food and everything? That'd be quite interesting.
right, so in terms of like difference and stuff, my protein stays the same year round. I don't. I literally. I haven't touched my protein. I was talking to a lad at the gym about this earlier. I haven't touched my protein since that prep in or that off season before I prepped in 2016. So for 9 years, my protein consumption has been the exact same. I don't change it. I don't feel the need to. Maybe it could be a bit lower. What all the hippies tell me about, 1.6 to 2. I don't care, but I keep it at the same, and then other things move around from that. The only thing I don't really mess around with fats in terms of increasing and decreasing. The only time I ever do that is if I'm in an off season and food is like a bit of a struggle and I don't want to push more carbs in, so I opt for like easier. In my first prep, in my first off season before I prepped, I was pushing over 5,000 calories, and I started to like drink oils and stuff just to get calories in. So
That's crazy.
normally the only thing that's different is just carving out really. Um, in previous off seasons, when the big rage was massive post workout meals, I've gone up to 220 carb in my post workout meal, which was a pretty big meal. It ended up being like 150 cream of rice, two bagels and jam, and a pop tart, and I had that every day for about 2 years, I think. So yeah, I think it's more just like altering carb amounts for me. That's what I do with myself and what I do with clients. Um, Never have carbs in my first meal. That's kind of like something that I've always done. Just don't do it. I try and push that onto quite a lot of my clients too, unless they train early or it's a preference for them. Um, Pre and post always have like a decent amount of carbs in it. That's what I always do for myself and clients. I feel like as long as I have a good pre and post meal, I can eat pretty much minimal for the rest of the day. If I'm in a contest prep and still be pretty good in terms of like my performance and just my enjoyment of my meals, it's fine. As long as I got a good pre and post, I'm sound. And then what I normally do is once I've established pre and post carbs, look at then the next meals away from those, just distributing carbs from them then. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty basic, like just mostly rice based meals, nothing fancy. Even though I am a bit of a foodie, um, I I like the meals I have, so I don't feel the need to be messing around with alternatives and stuff. Like I've literally had the same 5 meals, give or take different portion sizes, for the past 4 or 5 years.
Is
So
it? Do you eat any like Do you eat like any like red meat or chicken or fish, or is it you just cream of rice?
so without well, I can go through all my meals. I have chicken and veg in the morning,
Okay.
beef and rice as my second meal,
Okay.
cream of rice either side of training, and then at the moment it's just chicken and veg in the evening then. But if I was in like a you know more of an off season setting, because I'm kind of like coming down a little bit now. If I was coming back up, that would the evening meal would be more carb based then as well.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
so
that
it's
seems
very
quite.
like once you get a baseline, it's very easy to make changes from. Like it's so easy. I'm kind of like putting myself out of business here in terms of a coaching perspective, but I get a baseline 5 meals, and then it's so easy to alternate the carbs amounts from there.
Yeah. So what would you say your favorite off-plan meal is? Your
But
favorite like.
burgers, I'm bad for burgers. Like I absolutely love a burger. I think recently I've started to take the piss a little bit, and I've started to rein it in because I was dieting quite hard, and it was allowing me to get away with eating quite a bit of food when I was going off plan. So,
Yeah.
I managed to work up as if I'm proud of it. But um, twice a week I was having an off plan, and I was having like 6 burgers each time. So,
Oh,
so I was having like 12 burgers across the week.
that's a lot of
Which
burgers.
which which not only is very expensive, but it's also a hell of a lot of calories because those burgers will be 1,500 calories each easily.
They're that much.
So I'm doing 8,000, maybe approaching 10,000 eat like in one sitting. So
Yeah.
I've tapered it down substantially now. I'm at about 3 burgers now. So because I do want to drop a decent little bit of weight because I was dropping well, but then I started to take the piss too much with those. So
Yeah. Yeah, just a question that popped to my mind. Um, I've asked this to Jack and Cleon before, and I think Cleon had a lot to say about it because obviously he's with Rachel and everything, and he's got like a stepdaughter.
yeah,
Um, and again, I don't know anything about your partner or anything. I don't know if it's private or whatever, but I just wanted to ask you how, in your experience, has bodybuilding affected your relationships and your social life in terms of whether that's with your partner or your parents or your family?
I think it's more so like how I am because of it. So like I don't really like doing too much because it takes me away from bodybuilding and like it the say for example last night we went to a wedding evening and I was like I put on a bit of a brave face but I was fucking annoyed the whole time because I know I'm going to be getting back at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Like I'm waiting for a meal. I know I've got to be up early the next morning. So like it it makes you sacrifice quite a bit. Um, but
Yeah,
that's because I want to. It's not
yeah,
it's not making me do something I don't want to do. But it makes you like almost not enjoy quite a lot of other things, which is why a lot of people struggle to like let their hair down and stuff. Um, this year, I have been a lot more relaxed in terms of like doing things that potentially I wouldn't have done before. Mate, I'm 31 at the end of the day. Um, I am also in a relationship that I'm very grateful for, and I don't want to fuck it up because I have fucked things up before. So I'd quite like to keep hold of this one. So
yeah.
um, we do things that maybe I wouldn't have done in the past, but it's definitely worth it in terms of the fact that
The long term, yeah,
yeah, the long term, and also, mate, at the end of the day, if I need to make up by doing, you know, dropping food on another day, I'll do it. Like I'm not asked.
yeah.
I
And
think.
obviously, sorry,
Go on.
carry on. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say like I do get that sometimes you need to be strict with things and that. Like in a contest prep, don't get me wrong, I'd still fucking not have a single meal off the whole time. That's just what I do. But like if I'm in an off season, even if I'm doing a bit of a mini cut, like come on,
You got lenience,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I just wanted to talk quickly about because obviously I'm going to do the questions at the end, and I have actually got quite a few, and you know some of them are quite controversial. I'm just warning you, as I said to you on Instagram. But yeah, I was really interested to think about steroids and stuff because obviously you're natural and you've been
Yeah.
natural the whole time, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what's going on with that? Have you ever thought about taking PEDs? Have you ever plan on taking PEDs? What's going on with that? Because I'm genuinely
I
interested to know.
I think I'll start off by saying the probably the thing that shaped my answer the most is my dad made it very clear to me from a very young age that if I ever touched anything like that, he'd not only batter me, but he'd like disown me near enough. Like he would say, "You are not welcome in the family if you do anything like that." So that already is a bit of a no go for me. So I'm not going to do it anyway. Um, there's also a lot of other things going on. Like I wanted to be a name in natural bodybuilding. I wanted to push natural bodybuilding. Um, and by that time, I was already 22, 20. Like I went to uni with boys that were smashing gear, but like I didn't. It never because to me, I looked better than them anyway. So maybe if they started to like really surpass me, then maybe I'd have. I don't know. Um, but I by the time I competed, I was 22, 23, and in my head, I was thinking, granted, that's still young, but in my head, I was thinking, there's been talks about gear since you were like 17, so you've missed 5 years of opportunity here. So it's
Yeah,
almost
why
like
would you do it then?
too late at
Yeah,
21,
yeah, I understand.
which obviously it's not, but that's kind of how I felt. I thought that if you were going to have done it, you could have had 5 years of it by now. Um, I think also I was surrounded by at the time some enhanced bodybuilders that were very good, very good. And in my head I was thinking, you've got a lot of catching up to do to get back to these boys. I've dropped my ego quite a bit now, but like I'm very extreme in terms of that. Like if I do something, I want to be the best. Like I want to do very well at it. And so for example, like my introduction to natural bodybuilding, I was doing pretty extreme shit. Like no carbs for 4 months,
4 a.m. stem
4
master.
a.m. cardio. Like I didn't have to do cardio at 4 a.m., but I did it because I wanted to be the extreme. Like I wanted to do things the hard way almost. Um,
Yeah, it
and
reminds me
then
of Oh, sorry to interrupt you. I was just saying
no,
it reminds me of when Jay Cutler he had that this obviously he did that videotapes and he said like he used to go at midnight and train
yeah,
because no one else was doing it, and he got him
yeah,
in that sort of mindset.
yeah.
I want to
Well, it's
say that.
like, have you ever heard about Kevin Leveroni? What he used to do when he prepped?
What was it?
He would sleep on the floor
I didn't know that actually.
because it
No,
would make him fucking hate just hate everything, and it's because he's like wanted to be like feel like he was Mr. Hardcore, so he
that's
so he
rough. Now
slept on the
that is
so he
rough.
slept on the floor. um, yeah, but yeah, so like if I wanted to be the best at something, or if I was very extreme in what I was doing, if you add anabolics into the equation there, that sees me dead in like 5 years because if I'm doing that, I'm like
You're
I
gonna
am
pound
pushing
it
the
out.
envelope.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? So there's that, and also mate, like I am incredibly, I'm very aggressive. Like not not necessarily how I display myself to people, but how I feel. Um, you know, like I feel very aggressive all the time. I got not a bad temper. I have not it's not a bad temper, but so like I did fear a little bit about the person I would be
Turn into with
if
the
I
yeah.
added that in the equation. Like don't get me wrong, I manage things very well. Like
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I'm not fucking smacking my missus around for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? But like in the car, I lose my rag all the time. I if people piss me off in the gym, I have to like walk. I can't have a conversation with someone say if someone's jumped on a machine that I was using, I have to let them use the machine and finish their sets before I go back on there because
Yeah.
I can't speak to them
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
without coming across as being aggressive. So it's just things like that, and then
I understand.
if you add the anabolics into the mix there, that's meh. I think that probably sees me banged up in prison or someone's killed me without sounding extreme, but
I
that's kind
understand
of
what you're
how
saying. Yeah.
that sees me, dead in a few years.
Yeah,
Um,
and from what I've heard about people's experiences like with steroids, it does seem to just like I think it's obvious it enhances, but it doesn't enhance your physique, it enhances everything. It
yeah,
makes you way more aggressive, way more up for it. And yeah, as you said, with your personality, yeah, I completely understand that for sure. And I think, do you think combine that with the fact like you obviously you said you hadn't done it for 5 years and you felt like it was too much catching up, you just thought, I'm just not going to do this, and you just put it off.
it's not worth it. Kind of, I'd have probably had to have done a lot to catch up because like I know boys that now do very like in terms of bodybuilding, very good bodybuilders. There's at the time, like Reese McDonald, who's local to here now in Newcastle, incredible bodybuilder,
I know him, yeah.
IFBB pro. Um, Dean White, um, a 212 pro bodybuilder from Froome in near Gloucester way. Incredible bodybuilder. There's a lad called Guy Chardin from Dorset way, Devon way, I think. These are three boys that we were all sponsored by a company, so I used to see them fairly regularly. This was in like 16, 17, and I knew that those boys were enhanced and they were of a similar age to me. And I was thinking, fucking hell, if I go down that route, I've got a lot. And granted, they are the top of the top anyway. It's just they just happened to be my first kind of introduction into what
Yeah.
enhanced bodybuilding was all about. They two of them are now pro bodybuilder, like IFBB pros.
Reese is he's wide.
Reese is insane, yeah.
Yeah, massive.
So like that was my first experience of what junior enhanced bodybuilding was like, and I thought, fuck, I'm so far off this. I'm gonna have to really go for it. But yeah,
So yeah, just sort of bleeding into the questions that I'm going to ask you in a minute from
yeah.
people on Instagram. I just want to talk about online coaching a little bit. Obviously you said you started it off sort of like when it wasn't really like emailing check-ins, like was that like 2016 you started coaching, did you say?
Well, I was coaching in about 2012, 2013. That's when it like started, but that was more like helping gem pop people.
Yeah.
Like I
Were you
only
a
got
personal
into
trainer?
yeah, I personal trained around that time as well,
Okay.
like 2013ish. Yeah.
And you just built it up over time?
The online side of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that just, obviously competing in bodybuilding, that helped massively within that. Because that launched me because that was a decent name then. Like in 2016, 2017, I got in condition that a lot of people hadn't seen before, especially within a
Yeah.
natural bodybuilding perspective. So that kind of boosted my name quite a bit. People knew I coached, so that's kind of where that led into. Yeah.
So, well, what's it like being a full online coach? Like, obviously, like, I'm going to ask you, do you enjoy it? And I'm assuming you do, but what actually is it like compared to before when you're working a job with the online coaching?
Yeah.
What is it now like just being completely
Well,
self-employed?
obviously, it's you know, in terms of a lifestyle, it's you can set it up to suit you a lot more. So in terms of like as a bodybuilder, it's very, very useful. Like I can get up early and do work. Well, work, I enjoy it. But I can get things done by 10, 11 o'clock. So in terms of like freeing myself up for the rest of the day, it's perfect. You know, so much of everyone else's work, if you work 9 to 5 or whatever, so much of that time is wasted, you know, on you waiting for other people to do something or, like the only thing that's ever time wasting with me is if I'm waiting for like a check-in, for example. But the rest of the time, it's all on me. Like the only thing I have to worry about is me getting a job done. That's it. There's no middlemen or anything in this. So,
Yeah,
I can get a lot done in a pretty short period of time. Whereas, if you so many 9 to 5 jobs are dragged out massively. Like I'm sure a lot of 9 to 5 jobs, the job could get done in half the time if they wanted to. But obviously, they're paying for the full day or whatever. But um, yes, obviously, it just allows me to, and of course, it allows me to move wherever I want. I can do this job wherever. Luckily, I'm in this position because otherwise, I never would have been able to move up here. I never would have been able to move to Rotherham either.
yeah,
These are all things that have allowed me to do that.
yeah. That's really interesting, to be fair. Yeah, I'll get the questions up.
Well,
Yeah, I don't think you'll be surprised to hear they're all anonymous.
that's funny. I,
Yeah,
but mate,
zero on the regular question box.
that says it all though. That says it
Yeah,
all.
yeah. Okay, well, where am I going to start? Some of these I'm not going to ask because it's just so inappropriate. I don't even want to be.
It might be interesting to hear them though. Like you need to be aware that like not certainly nothing that's been said will phase me. Certainly not from people that put it on an anonymous, because because honestly, this is already getting me myself in trouble. But like, if you're wasting your time and you're being that much of a rat that you're posting an anonymous trying to have a dig at me, I'm already above you anyway. So like,
Yeah,
I'm not asked, and that's probably going to be the trend throughout this. That but we'll see, we'll see.
yeah. So the first one, I'm just going to go from like what I can see. The first one is goals for both of you in the next 3 years. The most majority about you, but I'm just you will
Okay, they
answer
didn't need
this
to put that
first.
in anonymous, but um, main goal for me is what goals. You know, I don't want to put it in like a priority list because I might get in trouble with that. But I need to get on top of the anxiety side of things, or just continue to, because if I don't, training is going to be very hard work for a long time. So I need to get that back. And
Yeah,
I am working on it, and it's a lot better than it was. A lot better. I've been to therapy about it, etc. Um, continue to push the business side of things because that, business for me at the moment is the best it's ever been, which is fantastic. I know there's a lot more I can be doing to help boost it even further. So that's another priority. Luckily I've just bought a house now, so getting everything sorted on that and just getting a bit more like life things sorted because, mate, I'll be honest, bodybuilding is the only thing that I've done and given a shit about for the best part of 10 years now. Like I've not done that. Like anything I've done has been just to kind of coast whilst bodybuilding, like it's been done to bodybuild, you know. Um so that now I need to focus on like other things within my life. So those are
yeah,
probably the main goals for me. I'm not going to set goals in terms of like getting back on stage because it's going to come with getting my training back on track.
yeah, completely. Um, just saying what I want to do. Definitely get on stage next year. Just, just go for it and just
Because
see
how
what I can
old are
do with
you?
that. 18. I've only been 18 since April the 10th.
Okay. So yeah,
I
so you
still would be 18.
yeah, you still well yeah, you've still got a year left in like teens and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, to that, and then just getting ridiculously strong. That's pretty much it. Um, Next one is, what did you do most which growed your online coaching?
Okay, these are all right though. They're not
Yeah, I don't know why they're on anonymous.
they're not digging me yet.
They're later. They're later.
What did I do most to grow my online coaching? Um, Having a presence online is obviously a big thing. If people don't know who you are, or even just like your face, they're not going to buy into it. And I know a
Yeah,
lot of people talk about like branding yourself as well, like actually have a brand. Um, and also, mate, just like making sure people you either display a physique online that people think, oh, he must know his shit, or you put out content that people can see you know your shit. So,
Yeah.
or you can do both. So you need to be putting out content that either lets people know that you can get yourself in great shape, or you can provide the knowledge for them to get in great shape. One of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why these are anonymous, but yeah, I don't know why. Next one. What has been your main training split for your growth?
I've run pull push legs for as long as I can remember. Really, um, I I do I do contemplate running like an upper lower. I'd probably quite like to, um, but with how my training is, it would be very hard for me to do that. Um, I do debate doing like an upper lower upper off and repeat because I don't need to do too much more leg stuff. But also at the same time, I like kind of keeping the blood in one area a bit. Like I can't imagine doing like some chest stuff and then doing back stuff straight after. Like I don't know. So yeah, kind of like I'd say pull push legs really. Like when I was younger, I did enjoy a bro split. I'll be honest, and I probably got a good bit of
That's what
growth.
I do now.
Yeah, so I probably got a good bit
Great,
of
mate.
growth from that to be honest. But
Absolutely great. Thing about upper lower is it's like if you really want to enjoy the session, it's basically just putting like a full pull workout with a full push workout, and you're there for like 5 hours. That's what I did. I was just there for like 5 hours.
yeah, but you need to just like
Compromise
minimize
volume, but
minimize volume. That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah,
it's just not as enjoyable. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get you. Mean.
Because like with a bro split, like if you do I don't know like an RDL or a deadlift, then barbell rows, then free weight T-bar, then chest T-bar, then dumbbell row, then pull down, and that's what I'm doing. So it's great, mate. It's really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Um, what are you doing tomorrow?
Training legs.
Training legs. Anything
Yeah.
else for that question?
Cool. So Saturday, so probably getting a good coffee as well. Nice coffee, a walk, and then train legs after. I don't think I have. I don't know if I have an off plan planned tomorrow. Might either tomorrow or
Are you
Sunday.
self-coached? You are self-coached, aren't you?
Yeah. Um, I obviously I got coached for my first two preps.
Yeah.
I prepped myself in 22. I did consult with AJ quite a bit, so I'll definitely give him his props for that. I spoke to him at length quite a lot about that. But like, mate, it's luckily I make bodybuilding preps very easy for myself as a self coach. Like, I don't I don't have like distorted eyes. Like, I see what is happening. Like, I don't. Oh, I'm too fat. Oh, I'm flat. I'm this. Like, luckily I've never struggled with that myself. So I find it relatively easy too. And I don't overcomplicate processes either. It's like because I don't allow external things to mess around with me at all. There's no additional like stresses and stuff. So if I'm not losing weight, all it is right, drop a little bit of food. Like there's not other things affecting me not
Yeah, I
dropping weight.
understand.
Like I sleep really well. Like so, yeah,
Everything's sort of just set. You
just
just need
robotic.
minor
It's yeah,
changes.
yeah.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, this one. What does Jack think is lifting the weight when he can't feel anything? I don't know what that means.
Right. No, I get the
It's
question.
like it's I can't, you could oh yes blur, but you remember it says it's like quotation marks can't feel
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, no, that's fine. So a lot, a lot of my anxiety basically makes me kind of like there's no tension anywhere, right? Like you know, everything just feels like limp because basically my mind isn't thinking about what my body's doing. It's just having like a panic attack basically. Um, so and also I can't. There's no brace. So like if I if I go to pull a deadlift and I've got my anxiety is really bad, there's no tension in my midsection at all. So I'm pulling on like an empty, like it's just empty. So when I say I can't feel anything, something must be doing the work. Do you know what I mean? Like the muscle, if I'm doing a hamstring curl and I can do the movement, it might feel dog shit. It might not be putting it on the muscle too much. But at the end of the day, the only thing that does knee flexion is the hamstring, really. So it must be getting some stimulus to it.
Yeah.
Because I did the whole of my 2022 prep not feeling anything really, but I lost no muscle at all because I just went and went.
Yeah.
Even if things felt awful, I just did like go go go. Um, some of it is probably just up there, and it probably is doing something. But then we also factor in I have quite a few other physical niggles as well, which then if you combine it with the anxiety side of things, it's very hard to work around. It doesn't feel too great, and which is why I'm in the gym. This is another topic in itself, and I don't really want to go into too much because it's a lot. But like that's why I'm in the gym for like 5 6 hours,
Is that like you're in the gym for 6 hours?
every day. Yeah, five
And
six.
how many sets do you get done?
I, I,
What's actually happening in that time though? Like, what's
so a set,
taking
a, a set, a set might take me half an hour sometimes.
one set?
Yeah, yeah,
Is that because you're doing a rep and you can't feel anything, and then you're trying to get on, then doing another rep and it won't work, and then you just
yeah,
keep going and going until you can actually get a working set? Is that
yeah,
what's happening?
yeah, yeah.
I
So
understand.
it's just like an extended rest pause, but like
Yeah.
extended for half an hour. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen your like your hack squat videos that you have like your trousers like rolled up and you like
Don't start
touching
with the
your leg.
fucking trouser leg. Don't start with that trouser leg.
Is that just trying to switch your quads on by like touching it?
It's literally one of my problems is I have a very tight hip flexor, and the sensation of a trouser leg on my hip flexor is enough to cause it to tighten up. So when I tug at my trouser, the feeling of it like coming away from my leg like relaxes it. So that's why I tug at my trouser leg. So like on a lot of my gym trousers, the the right leg is absolutely fucked, and the bottom is like a flare because of how much I've tugged it, but the other one's fine. Um,
Why do you just wear shorts?
I hate wearing shorts. I
Oh
hate wearing
right.
shorts. I think it's because I can see my legs and I'm just not happy with them. So I think that's
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Okay, I'm not answering that. That's not appropriate. Does does Jack ever feel like the quality of his coaching and image is misrepresented and undermined by his personal challenges with training? That's a good question.
That's a very good question, and I'm a bit annoyed the person hasn't asked it on like a normal because it'd be quite interesting to see who's asked that because they articulated it quite well. Initially, I thought,
Every question I've done, mate, there's been zero people on. I don't know why they don't want me to see them. Like I'm gonna come to the house and beat them up or something. But
yes, and it's so to answer the question, yes, and it's actually a cause of quite a lot of my anxiety. Um, because it's all a pressure thing, right? That's all it is. Is the reason why I have it is because of the pressure I put myself under. But then within that pressure is the element of like I know how much I know, and I would love like AJ Morris for example. I would fucking love to put the content out that boy does, training footage every single day. Like I would love to do that. I'd love to show people how to train every single day. I'd love to show how hard I can train, blah blah blah. So yes, I do worry that because my training isn't great, and I'm also very selective about what I upload anyway. So even some of the stuff that I upload that gets shit, like that's probably the best of a shit bunch as well. Um, I, that that within itself, I do worry about it, like because I think to myself, even though I know a lot, I don't often display it in terms of my
I
own
know what you're
knowledge,
saying.
you know.
Do you think is that why you like you never really like pursued like YouTube and stuff because you just can't get enough training footage?
That that was a limiting factor in terms of like I used to. there's old clips of me that we used to get videographers to film us training and stuff. Like I've got clips on there. I've done stuff with AJ. I've done stuff by myself, and that's when my training was okay, not great, but okay. Um, but that was still a bit of a struggle. Because like I could never do it now, or I'd be paying the videographer a fucking fortune to be in the gym for 5 hours or whatever.
24 hours.
Yeah. I'd also probably not like to the whole of YouTube to see some of my antics, but I also don't really care. But it would probably get me banged up sometimes.
Yeah. Um, okay, I'm answering that as well.
I
I
I
pick,
hope you let me know these ones that you haven't asked.
yeah,
You know,
mate, it's just like it's just absolutely wild. It's just yeah. Opinion on your him buying an injectable carnitine for naturals. I don't know.
injectable L-carnitine isn't natural. You can't take
Is it
injectable
not?
L. You can do or you can do oral. You can't take injectable.
Everyone's saying it's natural though.
You can't you can't take inject. Well, yeah, it's deemed as natural, but the second you inject it, it's not. I don't say it's frowned upon. It's banned within natural bodybuilding. Um,
Really?
yeah.
I've seen all these stories of like people my age and like, oh, I'm on the natty stuff, this stuff.
Your him buying for
What is
some
your him
people,
buying?
it's just it aids in sort of fat loss.
Is it a
Improve.
steroid?
No. It's like a fat. It's for fat. It's what even is it? It's just a um. I don't want to butcher the exact term of what it is. I think it's a beta two agonist. I can't remember.
I think this
Um,
person's asking this because I think they want to take it, but they just want to get a validation that it is natural. That's why I think.
it's not injectable L-carnitine. I'm 99% sure injectable L-carnitine is not legal within natural bodybuilding. Um,
Wow. I've been seeing quite a few stories saying it's natty, so that's going to be one for the Instagram.
I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Your him buying, is it worth it? Potentially not. Some people get quite a lot of adverse side effects from it in terms of like anxiety, water weight, stress, and stuff. So I don't have a problem with it, but it's puts your heart rate through the roof though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is a bit more I can ask this. Uh, why does Jack get so wound up about one comment on his Instagram videos? He posts 5 stories, yet will say it doesn't bother me. The comments are funny. Definitely someone who shouldn't be on social media. Now that's a really nasty question. So whoever's saying that, you're
Definitely someone who shouldn't be on social media yet. I had like I don't want to sound up my own ass. Like I'm one of the original like social media people within natural bodybuilding within the UK.
yeah, for sure.
So in terms of like me saying it doesn't get to me, there's I don't it doesn't get to me. Whether it does like deep down and whether that's the cause of some anxiety, I don't know. But I can assure you on the surface and like I literally don't care because it'll sound very sort of self-righteous. And this is also another reason why I have the anxiety I do because I put like a pressure on myself that to be better than other people. So if I'm be- I, if I'm better than someone in terms of like a physique perspective, it for years I felt like their opinion wasn't valid to mine. It's like the whole argument of like, oh, your opinion doesn't matter. I bench more than you, like
Yeah,
that joke. That's how I felt for a long time. So kind of that put a pressure on me to have a very good physique, so that their argument was irrelevant because I have a better physique than them. That's kind of
yeah,
like how I feel. Um,
I understand.
so like when people make all these comments, one, I don't when people see me getting riled up, I'm not actually riled up. I'm sat in my car or sat at home, like literally having a laugh. Like I'm
Yeah,
an absolute keyboard warrior. I'm typing them laughing to myself. Like I make myself laugh. I make myself laugh when I do it. I probably shouldn't. I probably shouldn't do it because it's just bringing negativity in.
Yeah.
Sometimes as well, if I'm honest, it doesn't look great in terms of like a personal branding, in terms of like
Yeah, coaching and stuff. Yeah.
um, but the only problem is, I, it's I had social media way before I was like a brand, a coach. Like, if people think I'm bad now in comment sections, Jack Thorburn of 2016, 2015, 2016 would like say if someone had commented something, I would tag them on my story, like, and speak to the camera and fucking go in on them. Like, I would I would talk about every insecurity they had, like, to all of my followers. So it's definitely improved,
I've
and
done
I
that
need to be a
before.
bit better with it. But it's just like sometimes I like having a laugh. Sometimes I like to
Yeah.
bring a bit of personality. I'm not someone that's going to sit there because I'm a brand, because I'm a coach, like not like do anything about it. And also, like, I'll finish off. Some of these people, all of these people don't realize what they're commenting on. Like, I would love for them to see one day of me in the gym. They wouldn't fucking believe. They don't know what goes through, like, what my day to day is, what my time in the gym looks like, what my time spent in my head is on a daily basis. So like sometimes I get a little bit riled up about it because I think to myself, you wouldn't fucking do a day in my shoes, pal. So
Yeah.
don't you dare comment on it. And also, you ain't, to a degree, you haven't done what I've done. So just
But
that's
again, it just
that's why I get riled up. That's why I get riled up.
it doesn't matter to these people because all these people talk online and they just don't do any weight or anything. And they, yeah, again, I think that person's just incredibly insecure. But yeah. Next question. See, I don't. I think this is taking the piss. I think this is taking. I don't think this is genuine. All these training issues Jack has couldn't happen to a nicer bloke. The emoji after that suggests it's taking the piss. It's like
What emojis?
it's like that one. So I think that's taking the piss. I don't think that's
We,
genuine.
I used to do that. I used to do that in literally secondary school when we used to be talking shit. So if someone was talking shit, you'd be like, so maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. Because anyone that actually knows me, and I don't know whether it'll have come across in, you know, the start of this podcast, and anyone that actually knows me, that's actually come in contact with me, uh, with it's not a big-headed comment because I pride myself on it, but I am incredibly nice, incredibly welcoming, incredibly helpful to anyone that comes in contact with me. Anyone I know shouldn't really have a bad word about me. Like, yes, sometimes I speak the truth when maybe I shouldn't, but is that necessarily like a negative on my character? Maybe I should shut my mouth on certain things, but I am incredibly honest, and deep down, I haven't really got a bad bone in my body. So
Yeah.
maybe they're being truth, maybe they're
Uh,
being truthful, maybe they're not. But if they actually knew me, because granted, mate, I've got like 29,000 followers on
I know you
Instagram.
got a lot, haven't you?
How many of those people actually know me? And that's
Yeah.
that's even me putting quite a bit of my personality across the social media. But anyone that's actually, met me in person, spoke to me in person, won't share that. They will see. But anyway.
I remember I posted a video and I remember you commenting on it. I think someone commented it was like at Jack Thomas is your little cousin or something.
Yeah.
Mate, that video, mate, that video went crazy. It got like 50K views
What
overnight.
video? Which one was it?
It was sort of like it was when I was saying sort of like, if you're not doing the weight I'm doing, shut the fuck up. That's basically what I was saying. It's like I got kicked out of two gyms. That's the one. That's the video.
Yeah, well, I've been chucked out of a few, mate. Don't worry about it.
And I remember oh mate, the comments on that, mate. It's just like, I woke up, I was like, all right then. I'm gonna come to your house and kill you. Okay, mate. Honestly, some of the people, what they comment, it's ridiculous, isn't it, Jack? And I know you've had it on your post as
Well,
well.
you got to wonder what lives these people are
I
leading.
know. And they're
That they're
grown people, they're grown adults, they're not kids.
But that's what that's why it makes me laugh when I see these comments on my, because I'm like, I have never gone on someone's profile, even if I see something that's fucking ridiculous,
Yeah, yeah,
as long as it's not malicious or like an intent to hurt someone. Like
yeah,
I've never commented on someone's post ever, like
yeah.
negatively, ever.
It's so easy to if you want to though, because you just like you just see the science, but you think, you know what, I fancy it, but you think, no, no,
Like I've
don't do it.
never gone at, I've never attacked someone like unprovoked. Like, what's the point?
Yeah,
Um,
it just brings negativity in this, and you just don't want that. Like, um, so okay, again, I think this is taking the piss again. Jack should post more physique shots. Only one a day isn't enough.
like, but but fair enough. Like that's where I said like I'd love to be able to like be putting the training stuff out more often and stuff. If I could, I'd be putting the training out every day. Um, it's kind of like just trying, dare I say it, trying to be relevant. Like if I don't post, my following drops fucking rapidly.
Really?
Oh yeah, Instagram will do you over if you're not posting. If you're not posting, you're losing followers pretty quickly.
Why? I don't understand that whole thing about people just like following you and unfollowing you. I don't really get it. I posted quite a lot about like Charlie Kirk situation.
Yeah,
Mate, I dropped like 20 followers just from that. It's crazy.
yeah. I never get involved in anything, any
Yeah,
political stuff, any racial stuff. Nothing. Don't touch it.
yeah, yeah.
Because
It's not.
mate, you're always going to piss someone off. So
Yeah, and especially the way the world is now, it's just gone. Um, I spoke to you like briefly about this in Instagram messages. I don't know if you want me to ask you about. I don't know if you want to talk about it on here about that sort of. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because I don't want to say it if you don't want to talk about it about the.
no, you can mention it because I'm just trying to remember, trying
I
to
don't really want
remember.
to say it because I don't unless you don't
No,
want
no,
me
no,
to.
no. Go on. Ask it because I know what it is. Go on.
Are you sure?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just asking because I don't want to bring a bad image. I'm just if you want to
It's not going
answer
to
it
bring a
more.
bad image because
You
maybe it'll
sure?
allow. Well, maybe that person will watch it and it'll allow me to
Yeah.
explain myself. Maybe I don't know.
Okay, okay, because I actually don't know what they're talking about. I've got no idea.
Okay.
Gutted to see Jack using homophobia slash homophobic slurs on his recent story. Being angry at someone or not, never the answer, mate. No need for it. Unprofessional, attracts the wrong crowd.
Yeah. So upon review,
What is
so
that from?
so
What's that stemmed
they're
from?
talking about a story where I was referring to someone pulling a sumo deadlift,
Oh, oh,
and
oh, oh, I went on your. You know when you comment on Instagram on
yeah,
someone's post, it says it pops a notification sometimes like someone else has commented that you follow. And I don't
but
follow the person, but I went in the comment section in your video and I started to see a bit of this. I just went off, but carry on.
no, no. So someone I referred to someone that's pulling sumo deadlift. I was talking about them pulling a sumo deadlift, and as I mentioned the sumo, I did that hand gesture. Um, as in,
Oh, was it actually talking video on your story?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I missed that. I don't know why I didn't
That's
see
what they're
it.
referring to. So I don't know whether this person's kind of like joking about it and kind of like trying to, or whether they're actually serious. And if they are, firstly, if
I'd
that's
say
actually,
grow up.
if that no, no, but if that has actually upset them, then obviously I'm sorry. But the problem is, and I'm not excusing it at all. Growing up, growing up at the age, through the years of, when we were in school at like, I was in secondary school 2005 through to 2010. That During that time, and it doesn't excuse it now because the world's a different place, but during that time, the everything was, oh, that's gay. Oh, don't do that, it's gay. Like it it wasn't like an insult at someone that's actually gay. It was just like that's what you said. And I
Yeah.
understand now that's kind of like it is deemed as derogatory to homosexuals. But it was, so me referring to sumo as gay is now all of a sudden that's me, that I'm homophobic.
I
Like,
think they're just deep in. I need to grow up, to be honest. I
so
don't
I don't
think.
know what. Yeah, but there are some people that are incredibly sensitive about stuff like that. incredibly sensitive. So,
Yeah.
and
But are they in
also,
bodybuilding though?
uh,
Like, 'cause you wouldn't think, because it's almost like bodybuilding is the way it is and everything that comes with it. It doesn't really attract those sort of people because it's all about the grit and the hard, and those people tend to stay
no,
away
but
from that.
no, but I have a lot of followers that aren't into bodybuilding.
Well,
Bit
why is that? Is that reels and stuff of physiques and
well,
they
well,
come in
well,
through that?
well no, because to be honest, I suspect that the person that's sent this in is just a homosexual individual who is interested in men's physiques. That's all it is. Like
Oh,
he's not
okay.
he's not a bodybuilding fan. It'll just be someone that likes men and in a certain shape. That's all it'll be.
Okay.
And I have when you become a bodybuilder, or even not even a bodybuilder, like you do attract a lot of that attention. Um, and you know, I I'm very if I get messages off certain people, some of them quite not rude, but a bit obtrusive. Like I treat them like normal people. Like yes, I don't engage in it, but so as a if I was to be a homophobic individual, do you not think I'd probably have a few choice words for these people if they decided to message me? But
Yeah.
if it was taken the wrong way, I apologize. So
Yeah. Okay. The next one is, what's Jack's thoughts on reps and reserve in Keenan flaps?
reps in reserve, like bullshit, really. Like, and I think that's more. I I wouldn't feel much of a man if I was leaving reps in reserve. I'd probably feel that's the.
Why even? Why? Why are you training like that?
And then in
It's
terms of like Keenan flaps, they're frowned upon, and you'll frown upon them. But
no, no.
certain ones could be useful. I'm not going to do it personally.
Please don't.
I'm not going to, but certain ones could be useful. But whatever, I'm not going to do them, so I ain't got an opinion on it.
Yeah. Um. Okay. I can't. Okay. I don't know why there are so many outrageous ones. It's yeah. Okay. Um. Just the last few now. Any advice on starting a fitness page and possibly a coaching business?
You need to just be posting, just post, and also
Yeah.
obviously post stuff that's actually useful to people. Either have a great physique that people are like, wow, and like it gains traction through that, or be putting out content that's like useful for people or entertaining. Either one.
Yeah. You all know who. You know who Zach Khan is?
Yeah.
Big ZKK. I remember he said in one of his videos, he was like, you should only be posting if your training is so intense and hardcore, people actually like think, yeah, let's do this. Like you get something from that. You either got an insane physique and you're telling people how to do something, or you're actually giving like proper advice, like how to train. If you're not doing that, he just says, "You fuck off, pussy boy." That's what he says.
That's kind of
I think
true
it's
to a
true.
degree. To a degree, that's true. Yeah.
I think it's true. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I'm not gonna answer those. There's a few more. Hold on. Um. Sorry, Jack. Sorry,
I was gonna say
sorry.
I'm gonna have to go in a bit, so make sure you pick the better ones.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Um. Sorry to. Yeah. Okay. I think we've already answered. Ever considered using steroids? I think you're pretty awesome.
Thank you. I'll take that. So this is positive.
Yeah. Okay. This is the last one. I think this is a good one to finish on because I know we talked about steroids, but would you ever hop on gear if you reach your natural limit?
No, because like to be honest, I don't think there's not a limit really.
Do you
I
think there
think
is a limit? I think, but on the back of that, do you think there is a limit?
not really. I don't think anyone's found that yet.
I
If
think
you
just
look,
gradual improvements, isn't it?
because even if you are there, there'll be certain body parts that aren't there. You might
Yeah.
be at your limit with your better body parts, but there'll be ones that aren't. And within that, you can make refinements to it. The way physiology works, that it's physically impossible that there's a limit because you can always apply more tension to a muscle, so it will always grow.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. And just my last question, just to finish off the podcast on,
Yeah,
what does legacy mean to you, and what kind of mark does Jack Thorburn want to leave? So I ask everyone.
it's a good question. A legacy is more so like how you've impacted people and their opinions of you. So clearly, my legacy to some people is awful, with what they think of me. But
But what do
no,
you
in
want
terms
it
of
to
like,
be?
obviously, like legacy wise, I'd like to, there are plenty of people that I know that I've like got into bodybuilding. There are also plenty of people that have taken a lot from, you know, information I've given out on social media. People I've helped through that. Even people that have been inspired by me in terms of bodybuilding and stuff. And yeah, I think if I can do both of those or continue to do both of those, I'll be pretty happy in terms of my legacy as such.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you taking your time to come and speak to me, Jack. 'Cause, a lot of people don't because, people's egos and everything. But honestly, I really appreciate it.
No, it's great, mate.
Yeah,
You're a great kid, and you've clearly got a lot of passion for all this. You take great pride in it and stuff. So, it's a pleasure if I can help you
yeah.
boost the podcast a little bit more. Then all power to it.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed listening, and thank you very much for joining us, Jack, and I'll see you in the next one.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, mate.